All right, today I am here talking with Angelique Haynesworth, who the introduction was made. This is my first opportunity to meet Angelique through an amazing, awesome home birth midwife, Ray of Refuge Midwifery, thankfully made this introduction. So I'm really happy to meet you and to be talking with you today and to introduce you to whoever is going to watch this video. Hopefully some people who are in search for a doula, and we'll find out that your story and your expertise and just the spirit that you carry is something that's just right and just right fit for them. So thanks so much for taking the time today and putting yourself out there, letting me drag you out in front of the camera on this time in history where we all spend way too much time on screen. Thanks for spending some time on the screen with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I know a little bit about your story, but I would love for everyone else to hear too. I know that your own experience of birth is part of what helped you make the decision to become a doula. So could you just share a little bit about what that experience was and how that shaped you to decide to want to do this kind of work?
Okay. Well, I've always had a passion for like babies and mothers and just helping. I'm a helper, natural helper, natural servant. So I kind of like just fit the description even before I became a mother. But my birth experience, my own birth experience was a little challenging. My pregnancy was fine. My whole pregnancy, everything was fine. And then my water broke at 37 weeks and 5 days. And I went to the hospital and I labored for 25 hours at 4 centimeters. So I was 4 centimeters the entire time. And it was, I wanted to have a natural birth, but I ended up getting an epidural. And that kind of slowed down the process too. So I was just in labor too long. The baby's heart rate started to drop. So they pretty much convinced me to have a C-section. And that was a little bit disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to get through that. Then after the C-section, we were home, and this was about maybe 2 weeks later, I found out that I had postpartum preeclampsia, and that was really tough to get through. So I was in the hospital another week after finding that out and trying to deal with that. And then after that, my C-section scar got infected. So about maybe 3 weeks of packing my C-section wound. In between those two things, my milk didn't produce. So I found out that my baby was dehydrated. So he was in the hospital for another week. So all within this month of giving birth, we had all of these challenges, and it kind of, I'm a bit resilient, and I have a lot of support. Like my mom was there, I have sisters and my best friends, everybody was there to be able to, help us out. But I just thought about all the women who may not have the same support and who may not know certain information, or who may not even know that they don't know certain information. So I was like, I have to do something to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else, or that it doesn't happen this way, or if it does happen, they'll have, the proper knowledge to get through these challenges. So I spoke to Miss Ronsha Dickerson. She is the founder of Community Doulas of South Jersey, and I've known her a few years before having the baby. And I always said to her, Miss Ronsha, if I have a baby, I want you to be my doula. And she just looked at me and smiled, and I'm like, no, really. And she started Community Doulas of South Jersey, and then I was able to apply and get into the program. So that was like a full circle moment for me. So I'm like, the woman that I wanted to be my doula is now teaching me to be a doula.
Yeah.
And there I met Miss Jody Green and just a bunch of other doulas that really kind of let me know, like, okay, I'm in the right place and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So
Yeah. Sometimes I think like the people that make the best doulas are the ones like your first thought about it is like, could I really do that? Because you have such a reverence, so you realize like how important the work is. Like love what you love what a doula does. I think I felt that way. I was like, doula sounds so awesome. Like, could I really be one? And that's beautiful to have that full circle. And I think also what I really love about your story is that like I bet looking back, I don't know, I imagine at some points you thought of like what would it have been like if you had a doula with you. And there's some things that maybe a doula support might have made some things happen a little differently, but there's some things like preeclampsia, that's not anything anyone can control.
Yeah.
And so the way that a doula can be present to like help troubleshoot some things or help to like impact the outcome in some ways, but then there's ways where like your doula is just your companion who's with you through the really hard things, who helps you to not feel alone, to not have you feel like left behind. Again, I'm like cheating a little bit because we had this little questionnaire that you filled out, but the one thing that stuck out to me, I love asking the people the question about like what are the moments, can you think of those snapshots when you're doing doula work that you just feel like, yes, this is me in my element. And I think you had mentioned like times where family members have to step away and like who's there, and imagining I think all the time about my soapbox that I get up on and I tell people like why they should really consider hiring a doula is, do you realize like how it's not that often, especially in the hospital, your nurse pops in and out, your doctor, your midwife comes by very infrequently. And when it's all on a partner to be the only one, they gotta go to the bathroom. They've got to sometimes grab something to eat. There might be other kids at home. There might be pets or phone calls or all sorts of things. And I think that stepping in those moments and letting someone know they're not going to be left alone.
Yeah.
Is there more you would say about that though, other than just like,
oh, absolutely.
Tell me more about that.
And so just a couple of my favorite births thus far. One, the baby's 2 now. She just had a second birthday not too long ago, and I'm always excited about their birthdays. Well, the ones that I get to be in touch with afterwards, just because it's so exciting. But her birth was pretty interesting because it was me and the birthing mother's mom there, and we were, just this was at the top of the pandemic, so we were in and out. They say one person at a time, so we were like switching. And her mom had to go, but her mom was so nervous for her daughter. This is her only daughter, and it was her first granddaughter. So she was like, "Oh, I don't want to leave her, but I think she'll be fine." I'm like, "Don't worry, she'll be okay." And she's like, "Okay, give me your phone number." So we were texting back and forth, and it just really let her mom feel comfortable with having to leave. And afterwards, she was just so happy and she was so grateful. And she was just saying, "Oh, thank you so much for being there. Thank you for taking care of them." And that just really made me feel like good. That definitely solidified my purpose, because I'm like, wow, you know, just her mom being there. And then one of my other recent births, this baby is 1 now, and this was during the pandemic. This was July of 2020, and it's a husband and wife, and she reached out to me to be her doula, and she's like, "I really want to be your doula." And then the beginning of our, like our sessions and things, I let her know, they're only letting one person in the birthing room with you at this moment, so I'm more than willing to give you virtual services, just to let just so your husband can be there with you. And she kind of like brushed it off in the beginning. I was like, okay. So we go through our sessions, and then I let her know again, we're getting closer to the birth, and I let her know again, like, I'm fine with, being your virtual doula. And she's like, "No, we want you in the room with me." And I was like, what? And this is, her husband, they already have an older girl, and this is their first son. And he was so excited about having a boy. And he was like, I know that I won't be able to give her the same support that you will give her. And I want for both of them to be safe. So I didn't even think about being there over you. And I was just like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had a client right around this time last year who it became evident, like not too many hours into the birth, that the dad had horrible food poisoning. Like he just
wow.
laid on the couch, totally covered up. When he would wake up, he thought it had been 5 minutes and he would have been out for hours. He was
Wow.
miserable. I'm like, you can't predict things like that. You never know when something could happen, and putting everything on a partner, a mother, a friend, somebody, that's, I think, one of the beautiful things about a doula is it's the perfect balance of like a professional and like you're very personal though. So you're like a very personal professional, but you're also like more professional than maybe someone who would be too personal.
Yeah.
You can like let your guard down. You might not want like, a casual friend to like see your lower half naked, but like a doula is like, you get all those conversations with people.
Right.
If you get the text messages that are like, I think I lost my mucus plug, which is like,
Right.
when would you ever get a text message like that? Except like, if you're somebody's doula and they're your client. So it's a really, really special relationship that and an honor every time you get invited to be in that place.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So tell me a little bit more about, like, we're going to get around to just a couple of fun facts about you as a person, but tell me a little bit more about you as far as like your interests, your habits, your ways of being that you think sort of influence the kind of doula that you are. So maybe like whatever, like sort of life practices or perspectives or philosophies about life that you think are like, this is who I am as Angelique, and this is what makes me Angelique, the kind of doula that I am.
I would say I'm very much go with the flow. I am so full of love and peace. Like, not to be so cliche, but I really am. Like, I feel like a leaf. You know how they're just free and in the breeze and really just, not in control of anything. And I get that a lot from people. They say, "Oh, you're so calming," or "Oh, you're so soothing," or "Your voice is so soft." And I'm like, I don't know.
I love it.
So I definitely I definitely say that contributes a lot to how I am as a doula. Right now I have a client that is like, every time I'm stressed out, I just need to call you because you make everything feel better. And I'm like, well, that's what I'm here for. And it's just really how I am naturally. I just, if I really go with the flow.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, and tell everybody, this is something you told me on your questionnaire. You got an award in high school.
Oh, yeah. For most motherly.
That's so beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, so I've really been this way my whole life.
Yeah. And so you do, and so obviously you do birth doula work. What are some of the other facets of like what you do professionally around like pregnancy, birth, postpartum care that you offer services or like parts of how you do your doula work? Are there some other facets to it?
Yeah, I really focus a lot on meditation. I'm also a beginner herbalist. So I really incorporate a lot of herbalism and aromatherapy and meditation for sure in my practices.
Yeah. And so then the one question that I love to ask people that I think gets a little bit behind like just who you are as a doula is sort of what you do, if you have like a routine or sort of like a ritual that is your sort of self-care, the way you recover from a birth, because sometimes you shared like sometimes babies come so quick that the birthing person calls you and then the baby's born before you can get there. But many times births are like hours and overnight one night or overnight more than one night. And really give so much of yourself, not just emotionally, but physically. What are some of the things that you do for just your regular self-care practices, but especially your self-care and your recovery after you have been at a birth?
Well, driving definitely relaxes me. So I love to drive, and that's pretty much where I blast music too. So I have
Mhm.
like car concerts. Um,
Nice.
a lot of times I have like a specific playlist for a client. Sometimes it's their playlist, or sometimes it's like a playlist for me that I just make that puts me in their energy.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll just play that playlist and listen to the music as I drive. Um, Definitely sleep and eating
Mhm.
after birth and a shower always. Something about then this is probably TMI, but I don't care. Something about a birth that gets my underarms smelling so funny. And I'm like, that is
Mhm.
so interesting to me. So
Mhm.
every birth I'm like subconscious because I'm like, oh no. It's happening. I don't know if it's like just my adrenaline or what. So I
Yeah.
definitely get to a shower and just try to rest. Of course, I'm still in like doula mode even after leaving the hospital. So I'm checking in with the client too. And then I try to, put my phone off, definitely turn off all my alarms because now they don't have
Mhm.
one. And after you go off call, it's kind of like, yes, I get to like really sleep,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There's something amazing about sleeping with your ringer turned off that like you only
Mhm.
appreciate when you have spent significant time of your life being on call and then you can be off call. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And I think, um, I mean, for me also like getting the chance to travel a little bit because you can't like, I don't know if people understand. Hopefully, if they haven't understood, they'll understand from, watching this that, doulas really do put themselves for that full on-call period. They put themselves and their entire schedule and their family and
Mhm.
every plan they make sort of at the mercy of when your baby decides that it wants to arrive and for however long your baby decides it wants to take. And so, that can be, you know, not leaving not leaving the greater Philadelphia, South Jersey area so that you can get back if you need to, or,
Right.
if you enjoy alcohol, you never have more than a half of a glass of wine, or
Right.
what a fun tip that I learned in like a doula forum was if you're on call and you have to cut onions to like cook something at home, wear gloves because you don't want to go into a birth
Mhm.
with like your hands smelling like onions,
Right.
or like
Oh wow.
don't eat the most garlicky thing that you maybe otherwise would love to eat. So sometimes I think my self-care, the food that I like to pick afterwards is like, I would like some Indian food that's like
Yeah.
very,
Right.
very strong smelling, just to have, treat yourself to that. So
Yeah.
yeah, cool. Was there anything else you think you would like for people to know about you that just either you as a person or you as a doula that you think might be what helps them to understand how you would be someone that could really benefit them during their labor or during their pregnancy, looking forward to labor. Um, Anything else at all?
Um, I mean, I don't. It's so hard to talk about myself, and I'm
Yeah.
definitely kind of what you see is what you get.
Hmm.
But I love taking care of people. I love taking care of mothers. I love taking care of babies. So I'm definitely in it, with my heart and my
Hmm.
soul, and I try to do as much as I can to make things easier for people. And I love to share information and give information. I'm like the question answerer. Like if Google didn't exist, it would be me.
Which is
So
probably better because I think that's what pregnant people need sometimes is like someone to be the Google filter. So
yeah.
it's a good filter. And I know there's things that you don't offer yet, but I think it's probably helpful for people to know like some of your aspirations for some of the birth related services or trainings that you'd like to pursue one day. Because that I think that speaks to who you are. Can you share a little bit about some of those things you hope to include in what you offer one day?
Oh yeah, well, I would definitely love the time to become a midwife. I That's something I've thought about that before even becoming a doula, and I was like, okay, how can I? What's the middle?
Yeah, yeah,
And that's another reason I became a doula, because I'm like, I'm very, very interested in safe and healthy and free, births. The hospitals make it a little bit tough sometimes, especially for women of color. And
mhm,
I don't want women to be afraid,
yeah,
you know, to have babies. And I want them to know that they're in control of what's happening when they're having a baby and things like that. So
yeah.
definitely becoming a midwife is one of my
Awesome.
aspirations.
Do you do postpartum doula work? Have you thought of
I
that?
I do I do up to 6 months, and I
Okay.
know that's probably a lot longer than some doulas,
Hmm.
but I just like to be there. I definitely love assisting with the with breastfeeding as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because when you talk about that, like just wanting to take care of people and wanting to take care of
mhm.
babies, like that is for sure a unique role because I love to support people through that power of birth and help them to find their strength. But I feel really good about passing them on to someone else to help them through the newborn phase and all
Yeah.
else that's going on. So good. Well, we'll include that too. I'll make sure people know that you are a postpartum doula. Um,
Awesome. Thank you.
but thank you so much for your time. And
Of course.
so we'll have this video up for people to view. And so you're South Jersey, but you do cover like Greater Philadelphia, South
Yeah,
Jersey.
yeah. I'm Philly, and then I am available for South Jersey,
Oh,
but
okay, you
I'm
are
based in
Philly.
Philly.
You talked
Yes.
about driving across the bridge before we recorded, and I guess I just assumed something about since you were part of the
Yeah,
community
I'm just
doulas of
my
South
best
Philly.
friend. Yeah, my
Got
best
it.
friend lives in Jersey.
Cool. Very cool.
So I'm always across the bridge, but I'm based in Philly.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we'll get all the other details for people to contact you and things like that to go alongside this. And I hope that this ends up opening up some doors for people to discover you and find that you're the just right, nurturing, light, free, take it as it goes leaf. I love that image of a leaf. Um, that's just what they need for their birth. So thank you. I think you're a gift to the Philly birth community. And I really hope that some people get to enjoy the gift that you are for their own birth.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think this is great. And I love the name Baby John. I was
Can
telling
you
my best friend, I said, why didn't I come up with that?
I just had to buy the domain once I realized it was available because I'm like, how did nobody take this? So
It's so perfect.
I sat on it for 3 years before I decided to make it like this place for people to come together and share stories. So
Yeah, I love
yeah.
it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And
You're
we're gonna get you
welcome.
connected with lots of great people.
Awesome. Thank you.